please welcome Mr. Red Weeman.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Hello, folks. Here we are, May 8th, 2023. And let's say hi to some of you folks. You're all talking amongst yourself. That's great. Sean Pender. Greetings to everyone. Rhonda, our Italian cowgirl. And of course, we have Treetop, Robert, Red Bee singing, the smoke in the water, fire in the skies. He watches the incoming storm. Not exactly. Actually, I'm talking to you folks. Hi, Tracy. How you doing? Julie, how you doing? I hope your husband's doing better. I really do. Okay, folks. Well, here we are. And behind every picture, there's a story. Always. Even it says a bowl of fruit on the table. There's a story behind it. How you doing, Tim? George Wilson. Good to see you. Hey, everybody, hit that like button on the way in, would you please? I need all the help I can get. But anyway, let's get back to it. Behind every picture, there's a story. And this picture that I'm about to show you, there's a story behind it. If I can get to it. This is the picture. You'll see it has the arrest date and everything on there. It was October 26, 1980. And I want to talk about the story behind the picture. How did Joey Lombardo get so beat up? Well, the simple story is the police did it, but there's a backstory. And I don't know how many of you people know the backstory, but I thought I'd talk about it today. Specifically, Joey Lombardo was at the spot over by Jimmy Cozo's. And he had a driver with him at the time that worked for the city. And I'm trying to think of his name right now, and I can't. But what happened was everybody over there had scanners, and they could hear when the police were in the neighborhood or the FBI was in the neighborhood or there was a raid going on. These scanners, they picked up just about everything. I know a couple times when I was over there, I heard the scanners, and they said, oh, this is what it is. So Joey decides to leave because the police are closing in on the spot over by Jimmy Cozo's. And he gets in the car with his driver, and they head up Grand Avenue. Well, the police take pursuit. It becomes a high-speed chase. Not for very long, though. His driver pulled over, and Joey got out of the car. And he had some evidence on him, so he didn't want to get caught in the car. Meanwhile, they caught up with his driver later up the road. But there were other cars. It wasn't one car. It was more than one. And Joey started walking along the sidewalk on Grand Avenue, just like he was a regular nobody. Well, he stood out like a sore thumb. Everybody knew who he was. The police did. What happened was, Tim, your comment is it definitely. Tim, you got me laughing here. You want to see the picture again? Okay. He wasn't buzzed. He got the hell beat out of him, which just goes to show you it can happen to anybody. It can happen to anybody. So, as he's walking along the side, another police car stopped, a marked car. An unmarked car was chasing him. And so the officer asked him to stop. And then a tactical unit came in. And those guys don't play around. They really don't. They told him to stop. He didn't stop. He started picking up pace and trying to keep distance between them. And at one point, it came into a small run where he was starting to kind of jog. And he took out his black book where he had all the debts were owed to him, all the gambling receipts, everything was in there. Everything was in that black book. And he tossed it over a fence into a yard. Well, the way it went down was after he tossed it, there was money on him too. There was over $2,000 in cash from different bets that were going on at the time. Joey didn't, in 1980, Joey didn't pay very much income tax at all. He drove around in an old beat up car and just didn't pay any income tax. Hardly. That's one of the things why he stayed in jail when Alan Dorfman and him were in jail, was because when they arrested, because Alan could get out. He was an insurance executive and he had millions of dollars, but Joey didn't have it. So what happened? You can guess from looking at the photo. It's now a part of history. What happened was chronic smoke. No, he probably didn't. He didn't plan on that when he left the house that day. He had no idea, is my guess. But at any rate, what did happen was they caught up with him. And when they did, there was a scuffle. And he thought he could win because there's only one cop that caught up to him. Well, when the other guys caught up to him, it was more than that. And they beat the hell out of him. You could tell by the picture, the mugshot. Took him to the police station, arrested him, took him to the police station. And while he was there, we have a new face here. Hi, Paul. How you doing? Paul Young. Welcome. Did they get the black book? Yeah, they climbed over the fence and they got it. And he was livid about that. He was livid about the whole thing. It was a mess. It's what you call disorganized crime. It was a real mess. But after the beating, after they got everything by the cash that was on him, the receipts, excuse me, folks, the receipts and his black book, which is very important to him. All his gambling debts were in there from his rolling crap game and everything else. And he said, oh my, everything's in there. I got too much in here at one time. He had it all on him. So It was what it was. It happened the way it happened. Can you run from the police? Yeah. Is there a price to pay? Yeah. There was then. I don't know what the price is now. How you doing, Frank? So, if you think now some of these police officers knew him, but if you think that just everyday citizens didn't get tuned up, you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. Because in those days, if they tune up him, God knows what they do to somebody else. With body cameras, there's no price to pay now. Chronic smoke. Did Joey ever do work with his hands? Yes, he did. Definitely. Hi, Julie. Now you get tased. They had tasers then. No, the Chicago police didn't use them. Frank Ferrero, you're right. You can't outrun a bullet. But nobody was shooting at him. He was walking. They had to have a probable cause. Nobody wanted to kill him. They just wanted to arrest him. Don Cheech, Frank who used a sharp sword. Jim Jager. I tried running from the police in almost 30 years. I figured out the car is faster than I am. That's about what happened. Do they kill you now? I don't think they do, Treetop. I think they're letting people go left and right in the cities. Yeah, those nightsticks were ugly, but they didn't use nightsticks on them. Billy clubs, nightsticks, whatever you want to call them. In the old days, you could catch a tune up in the elevator. Yeah, you could. You don't want to be in a confined area with anybody. How you doing, Chris? Thank you for stopping by. Chris, you're talking about John Flood? John Flood tuned up Frank Schweiss at the Niles police station. I believe Huff was the target, and Schweiss and Lombardo were together in a car. And John just had to be patrolling in the area. It's out by Mannheim Road. And Schweiss was going to brain him with a pipe. He had a pipe in his hand. And John Flood testified to this at the trial of Frank Schweiss. But anyway, what happened was he told me after the trial that they had problems fingerprinting Frank Schweiss. And he beat him up. He slapped him around and everything else and threw him down the stairs. And he just wasn't going to let anything happen to him. At any rate, what happened was he threw him down the stairs. It was upstairs at Niles Police Station that they had fingerprint bookings, that sort of thing. He threw him down the stairs while he was handcuffed. And when he got downstairs, I don't know how many times he hit him, but he pushed him around a lot. John's a big guy. John was like 6'5", good sized man, big man. And they had some weight to him, too. What happened in his case was on the way to the you're right. You're definitely right. On the way to Cook County Jail, he was transporting him from Niles. Schweiss turned around and told him, or he was in the back seat, and he said, "Man, the Bears could have used you last Sunday." Chicago Bears. John was rough. Chris. Howard, how you doing? Just checking in. Hit that like button. Thank you, but thank you. I appreciate that, guy. Appreciate it a lot. At any rate, I keep saying at any rate, as the story goes, whatever you want me to say, it was not a good thing at all. What happened to the case? Well, naturally, when he got before the judge asked him. It was a bench trial, and the judge asked him why he ran, and he said, "Well, they didn't identify themselves as police officers, and they weren't in uniform, so I thought they were robbers. They were going to rob me. They were going to take my money, so I ran." Good excuse. Judge turned around, not guilty, walked out. That was the end of it. Joey walked a free man. But did he have to take that $200? No, he didn't have to. He just thought he could get away with it. Every time someone thinks they can get away with something, just like, oh, it's unusual. Chris. I don't know what you're asking, Chris. Maybe you're asking somebody in the audience. I have no idea. At any rate, here we go back with an any rate. I got a video with a lot of any rates in it. You want to know what the rate is? At any rate. Jim Jager. Marco the Mover, I guess that's his nickname or moniker, was arrested for a DUI in 1983, bit off a cop's finger during the arrest. Wow. And the charges were dropped. That's the way it went. All the judges were fixed back then. So whatever you did on Sean Pender, wasn't Dennis? I think you're talking about Dennis Farina, aren't you? A Chicago cop? Yes, he was. And he was the kind of cop, his unit would arrest people like Joey or somebody else. But somehow they never did. They never got to the big dogs. That's interesting. I'm smoking them. Nothing's illegal until you get caught. Well, then we don't even know if it's illegal then. Not back in the day. Got to be tried, convicted. And if you got a kangaroo court, you're not going to get convicted. Tim Peroni was arrested once, called my dad. He called a lawyer. He called an associate. And some mob guy passed me four $100 bills through the bars of the cell. I don't doubt it, Tim. That's the way it was. Chronic Smoke. Have I ever talked to any of the criminals you were around? After I wasn't a mole, after I came out of undercover, so to speak? Yes, I did. And Joey's one of them, too. I think you're talking about Dennis Farina. He was a bleacher bum. Well, Dennis Farina didn't live far from me. He was in Old Town. And as Joe Collada mentioned, he was part of the St. Michael's Parish that was there. St. Michael's Church was right down the street. Tim Hunt, I'm reading your book. How the hell did you survive all that crap, Red? It was easy. At the time, it wasn't easy. I look back now and say it wasn't that bad. The Kraut knows the story. Marines adapt. You're so welcome, Jim. Jim Jager. You're so welcome. Tim Hunt, Semper Fi. Always faithful. Yes, JW. He did live. He lived in Supermax and he died in Supermax. And I got to tell you something. His son made a comment when he passed away. This is a quote from Joe Jr., Joey Lombardo Jr. He said, "My dad was a tough old bastard." That's exactly what he said. That's an interesting story, Rhonda. Dennis Farina seems like an interesting person. How did he go from being a cop to being an actor? Well, first thing, you have to have juice. You got to get juiced in. And he got juiced in. Acting was more lucrative than being a police officer. And that's the way it was. JW, I agree 1000%. Supermax is no way to live. But then again, I don't believe living in any prison is a way to live. I was watching a video yesterday. Somebody dropped a video, Invest in Yourself, Adrian Martinez. And when he dropped the video, it's about a guy in California, did 38 years. And when I listened to his story about how he grew up and everything, 12 years old on the street, 13 years old on the street, smoking weed, dealing weed, whatever. And his whole life was in prison. It was bad. Very bad. I don't believe any prison is a place to live, but Supermax has got to be the worst. No contact with anybody. Is that right, Scott? Recently, 2020 had a show about the bodies in Lake Mead. Mentioned Pappas as the man most likely to be in the barrel. The one with the shots in his head was 22 caliber. Well, that was my guess, Scott. JW, was Dennis Safrinas the most successful actor that was a former cop? Any others? I know there are some, but I can't think of who they'd be. I really can't. I don't know who they are. If I did, I'd tell you. Being as the warm weather and the rain and everything, it's allergy weather here. all the mold spores and everything, it's just coming out. It's coming off the trees, everything else. Jack Webb, Dragnet, yeah. Don Cheech, Dennis told us a story that he was directing traffic for Michael Mann movie. And his friend said, the guy said, but I'm Michael Mann. And yeah, I can hear him saying, I don't care who the F you are, who the fuck you are. That was his attitude. Chris Passman, comparatively speaking, would you agree that violence and work is the way the South Side? Would you agree that violence and to work its way into the South Side Heights were the most violence back in the day? I agree that violence and to work is the way. I don't know exactly what you're trying to say there, but violence was everywhere. Didn't matter where you lived; it was there. Violence is not the answer, but pain is a universal language. You're certainly right; it works. I had a saying back in the day: might doesn't make it right, but it sure does win. It wins every time. The strong survive, the weak perish. How you doing, the truth? Medieval melody. I don't have the music on today. I really don't. How you doing? I hope you're doing good. I think I know who you are. So, Sean, everything has changed now. What hasn't changed? Nothing's the same. It's not the same as it was 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Every decade we go through a major change, and Chicago's gone through so many. It's pathetic now. I heard about the Inn of Chicago. I watched a little video clip where a guy tried to go in and make a video at the desk, and he was turned away. And the reason he was turned away, this is in Chicago, the reason he was turned away was they said on the tape, you're a citizen, you live here. You can't come in. This is only for immigrants. And the city is paying $25 million a day, every day. Now, if the city's paying that, where are they getting the money? You're most welcome, Mike. How you doing, buddy? Where are they getting the money? From the taxpayers. Where else? Cicero, let me tell you something, Chris. Cicero didn't have any rules. There weren't any laws there. There wasn't anything to protect a citizen unless you lived there, and it was kindness. I mean, they didn't bother people to live there. But people that weren't living in Cicero, if they drove through and you didn't have that little vehicle sticker up on your window, they drag you out of the car, beat you up, and everything else. Just have a Chicago, city of Chicago vehicle sticker on your car. See what happens to Cicero back in the day. Tim Hunt, Red. So I missed the hot dog. Man, that comes around unless the lid up and no steam comes out. I don't know what you're trying to tell me, Tim. Anyway, you're right, Treetop. It's your tax money. It's your tax money, guy. And the poor citizens of Chicago, they don't have a choice. They didn't say spend $25 million a day. Do you know it's going to be? That's not the only hotel either. There's several. They say it's going to be something like well over $1 billion that they spend on illegal immigrants, but it's bad. Crowd, I remember seeing the windshield stickers on Illinois cars with a C and a star. Chicago Auto Club, yeah. Red, did any cops ever try to bother you at your porn shop? Nope. Nope. As a matter of fact, if they were going to make an arrest, they called me ahead of time. They called me at home and say, hey, we're supposed to make a bust. We're making busts on these joints all over the place. And, you're overdue. It's been a year. I said, oh, okay. And they tell me, they'd ask me which shift. I was open 24 hours. So they'd ask me, which shift you want us to raid? Or they'd tell me, and I'd put somebody on that shift that I knew could handle the arrest. I remember the 70s, all license plates. We had vehicle stickers, city stickers up front. Chris is asking if anybody remembers Jimmy I out of Cicero, and I think he means Jimmy I and Dino. Only by reputation on my part. I didn't really ever meet him and didn't know him. That's right. Papado Utility Project. Got to take a pinch every now and then. That was it. They would call me and tell me that. I'd say, okay. It's a matter of doing business, that's all. Adam asked me last night or the night before. He asked me if how much I made out of the store. The truth. Chris is a cool guy. Sounds like a pro. Chronic Smoke. Red, what's it like to be retired and goofing off on YouTube? It's a pleasure. It really is. It really is. I enjoy it. I really do. I mean, it's retiring is one thing. I retired early, and I was only 40 years old, and I found that it was crazy. It was absolutely insane. I had all this time on my hands that I didn't know what to do, and everybody else was working. The people that I lived around, they were working, so I was kind of like bummed out in the sense that there really wasn't a whole lot to do. So I started up my businesses and different odds and ends. When I moved up here from South Florida, I used to live in Palm Beach. Uh, it was a good change and the right time to do it too. Politically, it was really a good move on my part. It really was. We have a comment here. Tim Hunt. Those rollers would put their fist into your face, and I would, Tommy, give me your keys, or I'm going to kick your ass. Those cops are rough. Okay. Brian Glade, how you doing, buddy? Retired officer here. I found out recently that your grandfather was German, and was good friends with Tony Accardo. Guess you used to hang out with the bar with him a lot. That's interesting, Brian. Chicago history, that's what it's all about. Treetop, everybody's interested in my money. Have you broken even on your book and publishing? I broke even, I think, in the first 6 months or before then. I broke even on it. Okay, like question. You come to Chicago tomorrow. What's your first order? Pizza or Portillo's? Italian beef. Definitely. At least half a dozen of them with fries. Thank you, Chronic Smoke. I think I did. I tried. I tried to make some good decisions. Thank you. Rhonda, our Italian cowgirl. Um, it was sad to leave, but it didn't make sense to stay anymore. That's about it. Treetop, no, it's the way other people do it. It's expensive. The way I did it is not so expensive. Um, I self-published. I was my own. I don't have an agent. I don't have a publicist. I don't have all those things. I'm everything wrapped up in one. I did it all myself. Red, did I ever meet Ellen Dorfman? No, I didn't. I never met Ellen. Jeez. Red, can you borrow my humpback grandfather $1,000? He promises to pay you back as soon as he straightens up. You got it, guy. Everybody's laughing at your joke, guy. They love it. Rhonda, singer and comedian. Thumbs up. You got it. I love you, folks. Without you, there wouldn't be any show. I want to take a poll here. Instead of taking it on YouTube poll, I want to do it during a live. How many people would rather me do lives like I'm doing now, or would rather me do bedtime stories like I used to just sit in front of the camera and do a bedtime story, rather? William Kirschmeyer says lives. You all like the lives. Okay, lives. Everybody likes Julian. It's live with exclamation points. 2 of them. Joseph, live. Everybody says live. Well, I do too. I really enjoy it. I enjoy interacting with you folks. And those of you that are Remetters that join my channel, I really appreciate it because I'm there for you. You're there for me. You want me to come on with content? I'm on with content. And I really enjoy it. Thank you. Thank you, Treetop. Chuck, how you doing? How you doing, Chuck? Live. Second vote. Jim Nadafici. Need some guests on. Do you think I should have some guests on? Nine times out of 10, I usually take the guests on Adam's show. But on Wednesdays, if I have one. And if you want, I did Diane Hansen on this show. Thank you, buddy. Thank you very much, buddy. God bless you, Treetop. Brian Glade. Red. An auction site I found has a lot of Tony Splacio's personal belongings, jewelries, jackets, suit jewelry, handwritten letters to his son, Vincent. And the guy said his father was close with Mickey Cohn. Well, that would make sense. I don't know why they auction somebody's clothes off and everything after they're gone. I mean, who would want anything from somebody that died, especially the way Tony did? Michael Graham, another famous character actor, was a cop in the 18th District. Joe Kalaska. I took him up. Look him up on Google. You'll recognize his face. I probably would, Michael Graham. I probably would. You like Diane on the show, huh? Diane is a good memory, way back. Julianne, I prefer just you and no guests. Well, you're my guests. All of you are my guests. You're here. John Flood or Bulldog Drummond would be amazing. I don't think John Flood would come on my show, number one. His views are much, much different than mine. And John Drummond, we do have him scheduled to go on my vlog. It won't be long. Adams. I don't know what Adams doing. I don't know what Adams doing, but we talked about it about a week ago, and I did talk to John Drummond and Bulldog Drummond, and he told me, he said, "Hey, I want a rematch. I want to come back on." So we could. Anthony DiMartini, yeah, that would be great, Sean. I'll talk to Anthony and see if he'll come on. Red, who do you think would have been a better outfit boss, Joey or Tony? Joey. One thing I got to tell you about, I got a lot to say about Joey, but one thing I have to tell you about him is that Joey stayed in the neighborhood and he stayed close to everybody. He knew where everything was. Tony went out west. Do I think Tony deserved it? And then after he got into his cocaine and everything, I don't think he deserved it then, but it was what it was. Next guest, Florida bikini models. Yes, you'd love that, wouldn't you? Brian Glade, when I come to Florida, I'll guest with you with a purple suit. Okay, Brian. Brian, you talked to Anthony DiMartini? That's interesting. Say hi to him for me. Last I heard, he was too busy. He had home things he had to take care of. George Wilson, Red, did you ever meet the famous attorney, F. Lee Bailey? He represented Patty Hearst. He represented a lot more than that, and I did meet him. I met him. He actually flew his own Lear jet. He was quite a guy. He represented Silas Jane in the George Jane murder. And he was disappointed he didn't get Cy off, but he got a plea bargain down. Cy only did 6.5 years, and he went around bragging that he killed his brother, got away with it, and he could talk about it because he'd already served his time in prison, 6.5 years. An amazing man, though. Very amazing, George. F. Lee Bailey was something else. Not only was he an amazing attorney, he was an amazing man, period. He was great. Red, because of the nature of running a porn shop, did the I.R.S. ever hassle? Yeah, they hassled me. And it was kind of an odd thing because when they hassled me, it was they didn't know what I was doing. So when I took audits, they were rough, but I was never threatened with an arrest or something like that. It was a cash business, and because it was a cash business, it got audited several times. One time I got in a jam on an audit because Johnny Rogers, who was with Marshall Cafano, turned around and told them, I don't know, he claimed $10 million on his income tax, that he earned that much. And the reason he did that was because They the only thing they could do is evasion. They couldn't put you in prison for the owing money. So that's why he did it. And when that happened, this is an interesting story. I'll tell you real fast since you brought it up. What happened was the IRS came to my home, CID, and they showed me some documents, and they started asking too many questions. And I said, let me call my attorney. And CID is Criminal Intelligence Division. And I didn't call my attorney. I called Hank Schmidt from the FBI. And I said, these guys are all over me. And he said, oh, well, don't say nothing about us. And I said, no, I won't. You will. And I handed the phone. And I said, here, he wants to talk to you. They talked it out. I don't know what was said, but they left. Brian Glad, Red, do you remember the horse people from the Burbs? Yes, I remember all of them. I remember all of it, Brian. Thank you, Colin. You like the shirt? It's definitely tropical. And I live in a tropical place. I love these comments sometimes. I love them all, really. All you guys, you're great. The crowd show will have girls jumping on trampolines and not at the end of the show, but all through the show. Okay. Julianne, what about men for us women? Equal rights, guy, Julie. Rhonda's laughing away. I'm laughing away too inside. I don't know if F. Lee Bailey was the most famous attorneys of all time. I think the most famous was Clarence Darrow. Clarence Darrow is the famous of all time that I know of. He was something else. But Bailey was good, very good. Tim Hunt, I want Anthony DiMartini on your show. He's awesome. He certainly is. I don't know if I still have his number. I deleted some numbers. I got a new telephone, new cell phone, and I deleted his number, I think. I'm not sure. But I'll check. And I can always contact him through Messenger on Facebook. But I'll ask him. That'd be nice for next Monday. Definitely. Rhonda's having a good time here. Can't stop laughing, huh, Rhonda? Not with comments like this. Very graphic picture. Very graphic. Okay, folks. I want to thank you all for stopping by. If any of you haven't bought my book, it's running right across the screen on the bottom. Nobody cares what I did about it. And it's my story. You'll like it. I think you'll like it. 99% of people like it. They tell me it's interesting. It's true. It's not exaggerated. It's exactly what it was. Read some reviews on Amazon about it. If you go to Amazon.com, you can read some of the reviews. They'll tell you what people think, and maybe you might want to be part of it. Bill Crawley, I believe you're right. He was. Well, I should be seeing you Wednesday with Adam. And cheers, everyone. I want to say thank you for stopping by. And don't run from the cops. Be a good person. Rhonda, see y'all on Wednesday. It's been a blast. Thank you for your time. God bless you. Wait a second. I got one here. Should make a great time today. Treetop, great book. You like the book? Well, I thought you did. And now, drag queens jumping on tramps that were Marines. I won't go there. I'm not going to touch that. I just happen to know one. Transvestite, whatever, and used to be a Marine. I guess still a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine. And it was something else. Anyway, great talking to you folks. And I guess I'll be seeing you on Wednesday. Meanwhile, peace. Red out.
A combination of the videotapes and Ouimet's testimony resulted in the conviction of 2 men on extortion charges. One of them was Frank Schweiz, known in syndicate circles as the German, a feared mob terrorist and a suspect in a number of gangland murders.
He was described to me by other outfit individuals as the most feared hitman. And as he said to me, my reputation precedes me, son.